I found the old man's cat. She was fine, if a little confused. I was horrified. It looked like me, but it shambled around like something from the film we watched on Halloween. The man was happy to have his cat back. He looked so content with her sat on his lap. I told him about the thing I saw, but he just laughed and said, "Those bastard robots, they're always getting up through the pipes. Don't worry though, it'll never get through the big doors. If I had my way, we'd have blown up the lot of them when we had the chance." I wasn't sure what he meant, but I decided now wouldn't be the best time to tell him I was a robot. The man laughed and said, "Don't worry, I know who you are," and told me that he knew the old man. As we chatted, the man brewed himself some tea. He said that he had worked for the old man. In fact, he had lost his sight in one of the old man's factories. Strangely, he smiled at this thought. "He always did me right," he said. "When I had my accident, the old man said he would look after me. And he did. He always made sure I had enough money, and he let me move into this old pumping station on his land. Which reminds me, I have something here for you." He rummaged around behind a cupboard. Then he continued saying, "The old man wanted you to have this when you were old enough, but fate wouldn't allow it." He passed me a large box. It was empty. I thought about pretending to be excited, but the man said, "Wait a minute, it's empty, isn't it?" He slumped back in his chair. "I was robbed a few months ago," he said, almost in a whisper. "It's strange, they took practically anything metal, but left loads of food and a brand new saxophone." The man looked sad, so I thought I would try to change the subject. I told him about my quest to clean a million things. This at least made him smile. He said I was welcome to go back through the pipes anytime I wanted, as there were loads of old things in there that could be cleaned away. I took the fisherman's boat to the mainland. The fisherman was right. Everything was in pieces. Everything had been destroyed. I docked the boat in some ruins. They must have once been a town. I wasn't sure what to do with this machine. The huge door was sealed shut. I wasn't sure how to get inside. I was confronted by a lovable fat old dog. He almost looked pleased to see me. Suddenly, 3 men appeared holding large guns. Or at least 2 men and what looked to be a pregnant woman. Incredibly, it was Mr. Silton. "I thought you'd been shut down," he said. "I mean, it's been years." "I'm not really sure what happened," I replied. I then told him about me cleaning a million things. He laughed and said, "Nothing changes." He then showed me into what was surprisingly a really nice house. "Please excuse my husband," said the pregnant lady. "I'm Edwina, but everyone calls me Eddie. I believe you know this idiot. And that's Preston." "We've met," said the small man. "It was me that delivered that thing, remember?" "All you used to deliver was weed," mumbled Mr. Silton as he put the dog dish on the floor. "And I was there that night, when this twat was off his face on mushrooms. Thanks for letting me and the dog stay, by the way." "Yeah, well, we like the dog," said Mrs. Silton. "And I suppose I've got you to thank for us meeting. What with you giving Barry those dodgy magic mushrooms." She pulled out an old photograph. It was one that Heather had taken the night I had saved Mr. Silton. It reminded me of everyone else, so I asked what had happened to them. Mr. Silton said Alice had a small place in the countryside. the professor had holed up in one of the old man's factories. Mr. Deck was, believe it or not, now a presenter on the only state television channel. And Heather and her mother lived on a government compound where they both worked. I asked about the old man, surprised that Mr. Silton hadn't mentioned him. He's dead," said Mr. Silton. "Sorry, I thought you knew." "Anyway," said Mr. Preston, "I thought you said that robot thing found the mushrooms for you, in that hoarder's manky old barn." Mr. Silton looked embarrassed. "Well," said Mrs. Silton, "I guess we've got you to thank for getting us together then." "Time for bed, I think," said Mr. Silton. "Make yourself comfy, and we'll see you in the morning." The next day, I thought it might be a good time to ask about the war. Judging by the look on everyone's faces, it wasn't. "Well, the war," said Mr. Silton. "Barry," interrupted his wife, "can I see you for a minute?" and dragged Mr. Silton out of the room, leaving me with Mr. Preston. All of a sudden, Mr. Silton appeared. "How about a tune-up?" he said. Mrs. Silton started to make some food, and Mr. Preston was playing with the dog, leaving me to chat with Mr. Silton. I said that I really wanted to see everyone else, but Mr. Silton said that it wouldn't be that easy. Traveling now, especially for a robot, is complicated. Go back to the house, you could even do some cleaning. Wait there and I'll work out a way to get you to each of them. I told him that I couldn't get into the main house because the hallway ceiling had collapsed. "I have just the thing," said Mr. Silton, as he pulled some sort of card out of his pocket. "If you can get into the caves under the church next door to the house, you can use this security pass to get into the old man's laboratories. You can get into the main house that way." I was so excited, I would be able to get back into my old room. I said thanks, and made my way to the front door. "Also, I think you might be able to help us out," said Mr. Silton, "but we'll meet up back at the old man's house in a couple of days. You head there and we'll see you soon." I wasn't sure what to do with this machine. The huge door was sealed shut. I wasn't sure how to get inside. I took the fisherman's boat to the old man's estate. As I walked through the old church ruins, I was surprised to hear Mr. Silton calling me. He said he had forgotten to give me something, and the church's community hall would be the perfect place to try it out. As soon as we walked into the hall, Mr. Silton said he had a present for me. It was a pair of Atlas gloves. They made me think of the old blind man with the cat, and his stolen Atlas gloves. I wonder if Mr. Silton knew how lucky he was to still have them with a glove thief around. Mr. Silton asked me to try the gloves on, and start chucking things around. But not him. He was very clear about that. Mr. Silton suggested we clean the hall. Of course I knew when he said we, he meant me. But I was happy to try out my new gloves. He said I should clear everything off of the basketball court and put the things on the floor either side. I fiddled with the settings for a bit, but when Mr. Silton saw I was having trouble, he produced a small manual. He explained that pressing down and X would pick a thing up. X would then throw the thing, and if I wanted to place it on the floor, I should again press down and X. He looked more and more confused as he read all this, but eventually he finished by saying, "Well, I hope that made more sense to you than it did to me."